Hello, good morning or good afternoon or good evening, depending on where you are. Yeah, it's an evening where I am in Gaborone, Botswana. Welcome to Black Blockchain Summit 2023. And I'm going to be your moderator for today's talk. I would love for you to be free and, let the discussion flow. My name is Alakanani Itireleng, for those of you who don't know me. And sometimes I am called the Bitcoin lady, or most of the time I'm known as the Bitcoin lady. So that's what people call me. And I would like to start off this conversation by introducing ourselves so that we get to know each other before we can proceed with the topic of the day.
Cool. I'll start. My name is
Yes,
Caleb
please.
Boyce. It's great to be with you all this morning. I'm excited about what we're going to talk about. Just a quick background on me. I'm a Howard University alum and I worked in consulting for 4 years out of school, and then I've done independent consulting with a number of small and medium-sized businesses, mostly Black founders. And I've also done a lot of work in continuous improvement and operations. So my skill set is pretty much the full stack of business operations. So pretty much every aspect of business I've worked on or helped lead or develop. And right now I'm working for Dapper Labs, Flow, and I came on as the first hire on their business ops strategy team, and I'm actually now leading the grant program, which is a Black Creator Fund grant program. So this initial cohort we had was a $1.2 million token grant to 23 projects led by Black founders, and helping them go from MVP or from concept to MVP and then to launch. And so I'm pretty excited about Web3 and pretty excited to be bringing more Black folks into the space and helping entrepreneurs succeed.
My name is Tony Perkins. Most folks know me as a bank teller. I spent 25 years in fintech, working for companies like State Street and Fidelity. I was a CTO there of FidSafe at Fidelity, and then worked in the personal investing side. At State Street, I was doing mainly foreign exchange work. But for the past 5 years, I've been entrenched in all things EVM, I guess, and trying to crack the problem of cash flow for all. So this is my third time with the Blockchain Summit, and it's been great to kind of report on the progress of everything. So, we started on the Tron blockchain with Bankroll Network, and now we've kind of set up shop for the community of over 25,000 holders around the world, with a significant portion in the African diaspora. But we basically have a solution called Elephant Money, which is one of the world's first decentralized community banks. We've had as high as 560 million in assets under management. We're recovering from a exploit in April, and now we're back to 153 million in assets under management, and we'll probably get back to our old numbers before the end of the year. So that's been a very exciting story, like one of the most aggressive comebacks in crypto history, but also just a testament to the global community, and especially the very strong representation by the African diaspora, which I'm very excited about.
Thank you so much, Tony.
Thanks for that. Can you hear me? How's my audio?
Great.
Okay, great. So I'm Esco. I'm a senior software engineer at Airbnb. I've been in the field for about, 17 years now?
Yep. Who else do we have on the?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Currently senior software engineer at Airbnb, working on fintech. Before that, I was a software engineer at Uber, working Uber Eats. Also worked on a cryptocurrency portfolio app on Android back in 2017 for a few months. That was getting a little bit of traction, but I decided to spin it down and focus on other things. But I'm always learning more about cryptocurrency, really big into DeFi, really big into Cosmos ecosystem, Ethereum as well. I helped a few companies reach ICOs. I did some small work on Thorchain in the early stages. And yeah, I just love learning about blockchain. I'm writing a few white papers as currently looking for some projects within the next few months.
Continue with that discussion, or start out with empowering the Black people with different listening out there who does not know. Give a simple overview or a simple, explanation or a simple, an overview of what DeFis are and what DAOs are in a way that a person who is starting in the crypto space will get to understand what exactly these are. Yeah, anybody can start. Yeah.
I can tell I'm probably the most novice person on the panel. It's early on in my Web3 journey. So I can try to explain DAOs. I know that I'm actually not that familiar with DeFi. I know about it conceptually. I just don't participate it that much. But I can speak to DAOs just really quickly. I think the best way to kind of understand it or describe it is sort of like an investment club. There's a bunch of different use cases for DAOs, but if you think about it conceptually and simply, it's an investment club that has an automated treasury and an automated governance structure. So you basically code with software governance. So how you make decisions, whether it's voting or whether it's voting powers, depending on how much of a token or a certain other value asset that people have within the investment club. And then you can automate that with software so that voting can happen. When the vote happens, nobody has to go and push a button to enact whatever was the result of the vote. It can actually be executed automatically using software. The same thing with and that's the governance side of it. So if you've got an investment club and you guys want to make an investment in a set of NFTs or maybe into a DeFi protocol, for example, how you choose which one to invest in could be run by a vote usually, and you can run that vote using software so that it automatically executes based on the vote. And it gets way more complex as far as I understand from that. And there's a million different use cases for DAOs, but essentially, just like there are a million different use cases for investment clubs, whether it's a community bank or a fund or something like that. With the treasury too, you can have a combined wallet essentially that has the ability for the wallet to distribute funds or to invest funds or have any action essentially is determined by the software that's coded with it. And so let's say you have a vote and that vote is to put a certain amount of let's say 1 ETH per person in the investment club towards, purchasing an NFT collection or something like that. That can also be automated using software. And so the value proposition for that is that you get people to collaborate from all over the world and do it, pretty seamlessly and automatically. And you can really reduce the overhead and the administrative burden of having an investment club, and also potentially some of the risk around, not good actors, essentially. I'm asking you, how do you guys think about that? That's pretty good. Tell me, Esco.
Yeah, I think that was good. And that explains a pretty cool use case, like an investment club.
Thanks.
See,
yeah. You go ahead.
Cool. Yeah. I get this question often, and the way I like to explain it is by going back to Bitcoin. So with Bitcoin, Bitcoin is a worldwide global distributed network for processing transactions for value transfer, and basically that means value transfer, just sending tokens from one account to another. And that's operating right now because people all around the world, they have their own computers nowadays you need these specialized computers called ASICs because the network is so computational heavy. But basically people have their own computers, they're running these transactions, and they're doing this, they're spending their time, their electricity and everything because they're getting rewarded with Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is a token that's just created out of thin air, really, when you think about it. It's created by the smart contract as a reward for providing this service of processing transactions. So you don't need to rely on Visa, you don't need to rely on, MX, whatever it is. You just have people all around the world who are willing to do this for you in exchange for this token. And that goes back to DeFi, and what all crypto is really about is incentivizing basically resources to be used from other people to run some kind of service. So Bitcoin was the first mainstream example of that. Now we're going to an example like a decentralized exchange. DeFi, decentralized finance, basically decentralizing different financial products. There's lending, there's exchanges. So let's talk about exchanges. For an exchange, you need somebody who has a token, right? They're going to sell it to you, and somebody wants to buy a token. And without those two people, you just don't have an exchange. So the way it works is that you, just like Bitcoin incentivizes people to run these machines to process transactions, a decentralized exchange incentivizes people to basically give the exchange their money so that other people can trade against it. So if somebody wants to trade a Bitcoin for Ethereum, you need a big pool of Bitcoin available so that somebody can walk up and say, I want to exchange my Ethereum for that Bitcoin. And the way you get that, if you're like a Robinhood or an E-Trade or some kind of traditional stock market program, you have big investors who are putting lots of money into that, who are basically providing liquidity that people can make trade. They're market makers. People can make trade against those. But for a decentralized exchange, that money comes from the people. Like everybody, the average investor, they can put their money into one big pool so that other people can go ahead and trade against that. And that's why we have this term decentralized finance, because you're not relying on the big guys. You're relying on just the average person to come along and pool their funds together to provide the service. The same goes for lending. For lending, again, if you want to have a lending service, you need a huge amount of money, and then you need customers who are coming in and taking loans against that money. And if you're a traditional lending service like a bank, then you have investors who are giving you that money. You have customers who are putting their money in their accounts that the bank can then loan off to other people. But with decentralized finance, you're relying on the other people to basically pool their money together, and then the people can take loans out of that. And the part where they're getting incentivized is that there's a governance token, which Caleb kind of touched on, where let's say with Uniswap is a decentralized exchange on Ethereum, you can earn Uniswap tokens. Basically, you can own this APR for providing your liquidity. And that's how it really works. With Bitcoin, you're basically being rewarded for providing your computer to process transactions. With decentralized exchanges, you're rewarded for providing liquidity to make trades against. You're getting a token in exchange for that. For decentralized lending, you're pulling your funds to get loaned out, and you're getting also rewarded again with a token. So that's the whole idea behind it. You're getting a token to incentivize you to do some kind of work that's powering a service that is decentralized, has no central authority. There's no huge money players involved, no huge investors, just the average person.
Yeah, Esco, you have covered a little bit on one of the things that I've asked about the DAOs and DeFis. So when we look at what I forgot the name. I'm sorry, Caleb. Oh, yep. Yeah, what Caleb said and what you said, we hear the words investment, we hear the word savings, we hear the words profiting and all that. So we are talking about leveling the field. Do you foresee these DeFis, the coming up of DeFis and DAOs really playing a role in leveling the financial field in as far as the Black community is concerned, especially when we look at the traditional financial institution, what has been happening? Do you think with the introduction of something that is quite digital, something that is quite technical as DeFis and DAOs, do we see really the field being leveled in the Black community?
I would say that's a resounding yes. I think there's a great overview of like DAOs and DeFi. I think zooming out a little bit, what do these things provide? It allows people to, have organized community action in the financial realm. It also provides for inclusion, which is very important. These systems operate for all. So anyone who is, as long as you have a viable financial product on chain, then participants are going to come of all shapes and sizes, regions, levels of sophistication to coordinate capital to some net effect, whether it's money markets or whether it's in the case of something like Elephant Money, we're basically growing a balance sheet. Any bank is measured by their balance sheet, right? So, we're 10th largest holder of BNB on the Binance Smart Chain. So, that said, though, we have strong representation by the diaspora. Folks in Nigeria, South Africa, and of course, in the United States, African Americans, and then people worldwide, right? But everyone's participating. And so what it allows, I think the most exciting part about DeFi is for good protocols, you have, folks that we call whales, larger investors participating and pushing towards a common goal, whether that be a token price or whether that be stability of like a stable coin, or whether that be deep liquidity for a money market. Everyone is allowed to participate. And what do you need to participate? All you need is an internet connection and a smartphone. So this is really exciting for pretty much everyone worldwide. And I think as it relates to the diaspora, it's just wide open. Again, everyone can participate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just want to add a quick comment. So a quick stat. So I was doing some research yesterday on another project, but I didn't know this. I found this out yesterday. That Africa is home to the second largest Bitcoin market in the world, and had a crypto market growth of over 100 billion in the past year. That's Africa. I mean, that's really, really significant. I think if you're looking at traditional financial structures and the limited access that we might have or other marginalized populations wouldn't have to that, it's being welcomed. There's clearly a need there, and it's a lot of growth, and so it's really exciting. And so I think that just to be able to access without having to go through traditional, like showing up at a bank and like rely on somebody to admit you into like give a bank account or get a loan or something like that. The fact that you can just virtually anonymously and do it at scale is, I think, it's a huge advantage for this, and I think it's the most makes it the most relevant for the future, but also for our communities, African diaspora communities. Like, it really does increase access, and I think that's what leads to equity potentially.
Yeah, and not only does it increase access to financial services, but it also increases access to earnings opportunities. If you, traditionally, you've only been able to make money from trades if you are like a huge regulated financial institution. But now you can put your funds on Uniswap, PancakeSwap, whatever these decentralized exchanges. You can put your funds there. You can earn basically a return on that, all passive. And this is possible because it's all decentralized. If this wasn't decentralized, it would be illegal. Like, it would be you'd be kind of selling securities, you'd be performing loan services, things like that. But because it's decentralized, it allows anyone to be able to profit from this type of activity.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, and I was going to say one of the most exciting things that that I see in the space is for small businesses in particular, and especially in the continent, and really globally for like Caleb said, for marginalized communities. You often have, the workforce is made up of primarily small businesses, and which traditionally haven't had access to sophisticated financial products to augment their cash flow and to improve their balance sheet from operations. And now with DeFi, one of the things that we're seeing, and what I'm seeing in the numbers, is that there's a large participation by small businesses that are able to take their cash flow earnings and multiply that with fairly safe passive products that are built on pretty aggressive yields on stable coins, for example, and also as has been said before, via income from, say, just providing liquidity, which are all fairly low risk products. And that can be leveraged to great effect while people are still doing what they love, whether it be producing entertainment or producing art or producing basically running a restaurant. Whatever you're doing, you can on the back office now. Small businesses now have these tools to upscale their overall balance sheets, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah. We are having this discussion right now. We are on the internet. I'm on the other end of the world, and you are on the other end of the world. So how do we really take such technologies to people who are like in the village? Let's say from somebody who is in Botswana, somewhere there, who does not have access to the financial tools of like the traditional financial tools that existed. And now we want to introduce DeFis and DAOs. How do we make it possible that we develop systems that will really reach out to the people through the DeFis and decentralized autonomous organizations like that? How do we do that? How do we reach that person who is like in the far deep, so that we don't eliminate them like we see with the traditional finances right now?
Yeah, I have some I think some really interesting things are happening, like as a use case, like the it's called Yield Guild YGG in the Philippines, using like Axie Infinity, which is a blockchain a metaverse game, and people are able to earn using that game. And so you've got folks who traditionally wouldn't have access to earnings are now able to, like, I think you guys still have to use a computer, but they're able to actually earn money in a new way that wasn't possible before to actually play a game. And so I think that's a huge, like, one demonstration of the value of this, but also I think that like learn to earn and like these other types of like gaming interactivity platforms where you give people an opportunity to do something that's fun as well as to like learn is really key to actually exposing some of these like these more like marginalized audiences or folks that lack access to certain infrastructure. But I mean, the key thing about Africa, which I always found fascinating, is that they, generally speaking, from a technological standpoint, they jumped past laptops and tablets and went straight from like nothing basically in traditional finance to cell phones and cell phone networks and then smartphones. And so that's actually changed like the perspective inherently about how they approach like finance, because most of finance is done over phones, and also about how they think about technology as well. And so I think that creates an opportunity for them to onboard a lot quicker and have like a lot more use cases for, leveraging like the benefits of decentralization through DAOs or DeFi. It's my personal opinion though.
Yeah, that's 100% right and critical. For example, with Elephant, we're 100% optimized for mobile consumption, on day one, and supporting all of the various cold wallet integrations with the mobile phone, because this is someone's bank. This is to someone's savings account, checking account, and that even if the phone is lost, it has to be secure. So integrating with cold wallet storage and stuff, and all of the Web3 technologies is really important, as well as it being responsive and working across all mobile platforms. I think another thing, especially that's come up of late, is localization efforts are also very important, beyond just supporting this sort of standard European, I would say, languages that, whether it be like French or English or Portuguese or things like that, that are spoken across the diaspora. It's also important to support native African languages. And I think that's one of the efforts that we're going to deal with as we get larger. I think that in particular is not addressed in even sort of mainstream DeFi projects. And that's a place where there more work can be done. You can integrate things like Google has services, to basically auto translate the page and stuff, but you want to provide first class support for communities, and so I think the localization efforts are really important long term, and education, in providing education in particular languages and as well to target communities.
Yeah. And I think another cool thing.
Anything you would love to add before? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I think another core thing that needs more investment is on-ramp. So like an on-ramp basically is a system that allows you to go from traditional finance to decentralized finance. So you have a dollar bill, you want to get a stable coin. an on-ramp allows you to send a dollar bill to some account, and then it gives you a stable coin to your Ethereum wallet, for example. So, as long as you have an on-ramp, you can get from your cash or your credit or whatever funds you have in traditional finance, then you can enter the world of crypto. And from there, you can take advantage of everything that's available to everyone else across the entire world. Now, in remote places that don't have a good infrastructure, having these on-ramps will be critical to getting them connected to our system, because without that, they just don't have access. And there's ways you can do it, like there's peer-to-peer on-ramps where you can go online, you can go to there's these websites where you have P2P trading. You basically give somebody cash, or you can send them a transfer through an account, and then they credit you through their own system with some kind of through escrow, for example. And then once you get on there, you can do, like somebody in Botswana, for example, they can acquire USD stablecoins. So the currency USD is very stable compared to a lot of the currencies across Africa. Like the inflation is very high in Africa. So if you're able to take your funds and you transfer it to USD, now you're actually saving a lot just by having it in USD, because it's not going to be inflated as much as your local currency is. And also you can actually basically purchase services that are only available to people in the US if you go through through this system, through USD stable coins, even like cars connected to USD and to stable coins and things like that. So yeah, I think as long as we have the on-ramps, basically you can connect them to the entire system.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Okay, go ahead. Yeah. We only have about 2 minutes to wrap up our discussion. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I just wanted to kind of follow up on the DAO part. So one thing that's incredibly powerful about DAOs and the automation that comes with it. So because you have automation with the treasury management and with the governance, you can actually scale pretty easily. And these structures are decentralized. They're not owned by any particular bank or entity. So it provides a lot of opportunities to really to drive activism, essentially. So it's like, how do you organize a group of people and put funds together to actually affect change or to drive impact? And this is as much in the US as it is, as it is anywhere else in the world in the African diaspora community. But particularly in the US, we've had trouble being able to drive impact, essentially, because we can't. We need to have a central authority that has a bank account to be able to fund this type of thing. We need to have some sponsorship from the traditional banking system, which maybe we don't have access to. And so in a grant program that I'm running here at Flow, we have 3 DAOs, actually. The Howard University DAO, which I'm very excited about as an alum. And they're trying to actually activate the Howard University community, alumni and connected folks to pull money together and basically drive impact within the university as well as within the community. And I've been talking with some other folks who have there's a Crimson DAO for the Harvard University. There's a Lion DAO for Columbia University. There's an Aggie DAO for North Carolina A&T. And so these alumni and university-oriented DAOs are actually growing and sprouting up right now. And I think it's a huge opportunity to really activate, particularly HBCU alums, which traditionally are not very active, at least not giving back. And so I think it's a huge opportunity. But being able to affect change. So aside from the opportunities in Africa and more the developing markets, within the US ourselves, we have the ability to raise money from folks using these traditional easy on-ramp structures and to pull money together and to really drive and affect change. And that really hasn't been possible before in history, to my knowledge, at least not this easily and not this easily scale. So that's a really exciting part about DAOs and some of the things that DeFi that allow as well, is that we can pull money together and have it earned, as well as being able to use it to drive impact. So it's all very exciting for me. And I'm very excited for the DAOs. The Black DAO is another one of our grantees as well. It's doing this. So it's pretty exciting.